Welcome back to day 3 of Christopher Nolan week. As you can tell, we haven't changed our clothes and or underwear, so we have been sitting on this couch the entire time.
Yeah, exactly.
Today, we'll be reviewing one of my personal favorite Christopher Nolan movies, The Prestige.
The Prestige is so awesome.
I would like to introduce
Ladies and gentlemen, much of what you've seen tonight may be termed as illusions or entertaining trifles. Alas, I cannot claim this next feat as illusion. Watch carefully. You will see no trickery. No trickery is employed. Merely a technique familiar to certain citizens of the Orient and various holy men of the Himalayas. Indeed, many of you may be familiar with this technique, but for those of you who aren't, do not be alarmed. What you're about to see is considered safe.
This movie, I saw it on Sci-Fi, like the Sci-Fi
Really?
channel.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is rare.
I saw it on Sci-Fi, and I was like, "Oh man, what is this movie?" And so I watched it, and it just blew me away. Like, this movie was fantastic, and it was like one of the movies that really got me going. Like, I need to buy this. Like, it was just a fantastic film.
I was recommended The Prestige. I only saw it last year, surprisingly enough.
Really?
And it's been out for a while.
It has been out for a while.
Hugh Jackman, Christian Bale,
Scarlett Johansson,
It's
Michael
just
Caine, David Bowie,
such
Andy
a good
Serkis.
cast. Such a good cast.
So the story of The Prestige, right? The Prestige is a story about magicians, and not like the Doctor Strange magicians, like actual card
Illusionists.
Illusionists, right? Which is a ripoff.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's about Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale are working together, and they are magicians. And Hugh Jackman's the American, Christian Bale's, and they're in London. And so what happens is Hugh Jackman wants to tie a certain knot. He says, "I want to try this knot out on Christian Bale's wife, who is it's Hugh Jackman's wife. I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Christian Bale wants to try out this new knot on Hugh Jackman's wife, and she's like the don't take chick. She gets out of the don't take. So he does it. You don't know if he does it or not. He doesn't know if he does it or not. That's one of the mysteries about this movie. You don't know if he does it or not. He just kind of nods to her, and So she tries to break out, and she can't break out. She drowns to death, and Christian Bale is pissed, and rightfully so. He is mad at him, and so the entire movie is this cat and mouse game between Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale trying to one-up each other, and then Hugh Jackman going to Michael Caine's character, who's the granddaddy magician, and they're trying to one each other on stage and in their personal life, and they get really dark.
It's so dark.
Hugh Jackman shoots off Christian Bale's finger.
Yeah.
And it's like a crazy, like I said, cat and mouse game between these two very good magicians.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons I like the movie, not just because of the magician aspect of it, but because it shows show business. It's a really great portrayal of show business. Even, nowadays, even stage work nowadays, it shows pretty realistic.
Yeah, and one thing I like about this movie is it doesn't focus so much on their stage performance. It's more you're more interested about what's going on behind the scenes and behind the show, and what are the driving forces behind each of these magicians. And I haven't personally seen many magic movies. I don't think people have really I don't think there's a genre out there for magic movies. I wouldn't consider this a magician's movie. I consider this a great story in general. And they get into aspects. They get into aspects where, they get into metaphysics, and they get into almost not quite supernatural, but we meet Tesla and the Tesla coils, and how Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman are both trying to compete for this technology. And, that plays a huge impact in the end of the movie.
It's a very simple story. They are trying to one-up each other, and they are trying to create the best act possible. You know, Hugh Jackman's character is like going around, you know, he recruits Tesla to try and, you know, create magic for him, and they are trying to create the best trick ever. And so the name, let's talk about the name for a second. The name,
Yes.
The Prestige. Michael Caine explains in the film that there are 3 parts of a magic trick, right? He says there is the fake out, which is like the whole like, here's the, you know, I got this in the Middle East and blah, blah, blah. He said there's the prestige, which is basically almost the climax of it. It's like the what happens, it scares the audience. And then there is the return, where it is basically like you show the audience that everything's all right or everything's not all right, right? So like he says the the most believable magic trick is the one where you show that it wasn't magic, right? He says like you basically like there's nothing up my sleeves. Here's a trickery, but here it's a return of something.
Yeah.
And that whole line, that whole like this is how it is, that sets up the entire movie actually. Like it sets up from beginning to end what's going to happen in the movie.
And you could think about the ending too. It possibly plays a big role.
The ending is, this was one of the most craziest open-ended endings of any movie I've ever seen.
And I think we can say that, you know, without spoiling anything, that if you haven't heard The Prestige, or if you have and you haven't seen it, go and watch this movie today.
Go and watch it.
It's probably my personal favorite Christopher Nolan movie that's come out. It's the pinnacle of Christopher Nolan movies for me. It's so good.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic. And it's just one of those movies that isn't just a great Christopher Nolan movie, it's a great movie in general, and we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, this movie, the dialogue, the characters, the acting, the ending, there's no dull moment in this movie. There's no like lull in the story. It's
Not
just
at all.
great from beginning to end. And I mean, Scarlett Johansson's hot, so like, exactly. So you recommend The Prestige to everybody?
Definitely. I mean, we could get into so many different channels and aspects about this movie. Like, it talks about their showmanship, their rivalry, their wives, and you really get to know these characters in the short time you have with them. You feel like you get a good sense. Like, Christian Bale is very egocentric. It's all about him. He's very emotionally withdrawn. Hugh Jackman is emotionally withdrawn because was it his wife who died, or was it was his wife? And I mean, it's just such a fantastic movie. I'm probably gonna go watch this tonight.
It's so good, and if it confuses you, don't worry. It's such a great story because like from beginning to end, it is very Nolan-esque in the fact that like it's got open-ended, it's got Michael Caine, of course, Christian Bale. And it's one of those movies where a lot of the side characters are as good as the actors. Hugh Jackman, one of my favorite actors, is in this movie. Andy Serkis, great actor in this movie. David Bowie's a good actor.
Yeah.
And it's just, if you haven't seen it or are thinking about watching it, go out and watch it. Go out and buy it. Don't even don't rent it. Like I said earlier, don't rent it. Just go out and buy it, watch it every day until you're dead.
I think
it's so good.
Nolan has almost become a brand like Nike or Adidas in the fact that if you see the name Nolan on the movie, you can't go wrong. Now, okay, let's be specific here. We're talking about him directing or writing. If he's the executive producer, Man of Steel, you don't necessarily have to buy it.
Exactly. It's just like, but this is one of his breakouts, and totally. Just go check it out. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Nerd Corner, and we'll see you tomorrow on Nolan Week.
We should also, at the end of the videos, say, we tell them to like, favorite, and subscribe, but also tell them to